Do you still believe that Syracuse football is a bowl team? Comment your thoughts right now in the comments section below. Because I do. I 100% firmly believe that Syracuse football not only is a bowl team for 2025, but should definitely have those expectations following their performance against Tennessee. Because overall, it wasn't a bad performance. You have to give credit to Tennessee. There's a reason why Tennessee is Tennessee with their head coach and Josh Heupel. They're probably going to be really good once again this year. Syracuse football, they got off to a poor start. The defense was not good by any means. But as we've talked about throughout the show, most of the team was pretty good in this game. Most of it was pretty good. And for what it's worth, I still think 7 wins, which was my prediction. So beyond just the 6-6, which is what you need to make a bowl, I still definitely think 7-5 is on the table. And to a lesser extent, 8-4 is also on the table as well for Syracuse, although they're going to have to steal a couple of more games than they would in order to reach 8-4. But it's not impossible given the performance we saw by Syracuse on Saturday. And we'll also get into UConn, which is, or I guess into UConn prep starting tomorrow. That game is not a guaranteed Syracuse win, by the way. And that's a credit to the UConn program since Jim Mora took over for them in 2022. But also think about it this way. If you're Syracuse, you want to have bowl expectations, you want to be a bowl team, you better beat UConn at home on Saturday. And we'll talk more about it tomorrow on the show. But let's get into the rest of the ACC in relation to Syracuse. How many teams in the ACC do you think are actually better than the Orange? Like definitively, you know for a fact they are better than Syracuse. Because to me, it's not many. It's not many. I really feel that Syracuse could just beat Georgia Tech from a year ago. Georgia Tech last year was a very solid team. They went 7-5 in the regular season, but that record was a bit deceiving. They had a very, very difficult schedule, just like Syracuse this year. And as a result, they went 7-5. But that was probably the best that they could have hoped for that season because they were a good team, just a brutal schedule that they drew that year. Similar deal with Syracuse. Despite Notre Dame and Clemson losing this week, they're 0-1, same record as Syracuse. Those are still going to be very difficult games for the Orange to win. Think about who those teams were playing. Notre Dame going on the road against Miami. Miami, a big winner of the weekend, by the way. And Clemson. I mean, look, I get it. It was a little bit of a dud that they had against LSU. It's also LSU. That's a preseason top 10 team in the country right there. They should have still won. They're at home. You're the top 5 team in the country. But hey, I'm not going to sit here and say, all of a sudden Clemson's super beatable now because they lost to LSU. Give some credit to LSU. They're a good team as well, just like Clemson. So Notre Dame and Clemson, that's going to be tough for Syracuse no matter what. And we've already talked about that plenty on this show. Those two teams, definitely better than Syracuse. Miami, as I just mentioned, big winner of the weekend, beating Notre Dame at home, emotional victory for them. They're going to be a formidable opponent when Syracuse travels down south in November to take on Miami. Florida State, another big winner of the weekend. You want to sit here and say that Florida State is definitely better than Syracuse? You know what? You're probably right about that. Thomas Castellanos, he definitely shut me up and a lot of people up with his performance against Alabama. But you know what? Syracuse is not playing Florida State this year. So who cares how good Florida State is? The Orange are not playing Florida State in 2025. So they can be a big winner all they want. It does not matter for us Syracuse fans. SMU and Pitt, I mean, they played nobody. So my opinion on those teams hasn't changed. Georgia Tech, they won at Colorado. Georgia Tech, here's the deal. They seem like a little bit lesser version of Tennessee. They can run the ball just as well, if not better, than Tennessee, which is a definite concern with the matchup against Syracuse later this year. But when you look at the rest of their team, I don't know if it's as good as Tennessee on Saturday. So as long as Syracuse can do similar to what they do last year, which is get ahead of Georgia Tech and try to stop them from being able to run the ball as much as they would want, they can definitely go in there and win that game. But overall, I look at the rest of the ACC and I look at how Syracuse played this weekend against Tennessee. And I sit here and I say to myself, why can't Syracuse at least be decent this year? Okay, 9-3, matching what they did a year ago. I understand. I'm a reasonable guy. I understand that you might not be as good record wise as last year. I get it. But bowl expectations, 100%. This team is definitely good enough to make a bowl.